I was at a very expensive, quiet steakhouse for my anniversary. A woman at the next table let her toddler watch YouTube at full volume without headphones. When I politely asked if she could turn it down, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "My son is a sensory learner and needs the stimulation. If you wanted a quiet dinner, you should have stayed home or paid for a private room." She then demanded the manager comp her meal because I harassed her child. During a neighborhood Easter egg hunt, one mother noticed her son only had 5 eggs, while other kids had 20. Instead of encouraging him to keep looking, she literally started grabbing eggs out of other children's baskets. When a group of parents confronted her, she screamed that her son deserved a win because he had a rough week at preschool and that we were all bullying a literal infant by not letting her steal the candy. I work at a high-end art gallery where the "do not touch" signs are everywhere. A dad let his 6-year-old climb onto a $10,000 sculpture for a photo. When I ran over to stop him, the dad got physical and pushed me back, yelling that I was ruining a precious family memory. He claimed that since the gallery is open to the public, the art belongs to the people, and his son is a person, so he can do whatever he wants with it. At a child's birthday party I hosted, a mum showed up with her 3 kids, even though only one was invited. She didn't bring a gift, but at the end of the party, she demanded 2 extra goodie bags for the siblings who weren't invited. When I told her I only made enough for the invited guests, she called me a cold-hearted gatekeeper and told my daughter, the birthday girl, that her father was a cheapskate who hated children. I was on a 5-hour flight when a mother asked me to swap my first-class seat for her middle seat in coach so she could sit near her anxious teenager. When I declined, she spent the next hour standing in the aisle next to me, loudly narrating to the entire cabin how selfish millennials are destroying the fabric of society. She even tried to spill her water on my laptop by accident to prove that I was in the way of her motherly duties. A woman came into the boutique where I work and let her kid eat a chocolate bar while running through rows of white silk dresses. When the kid inevitably smeared chocolate all over a $1,200 gown, the mother tried to sneak out. I stopped her, and she shrieked that the dress was flimsy and poorly placed. She insisted that the store should pay her for the emotional trauma her son suffered from being accused of a crime he didn't understand. I used to coach a junior soccer team. One dad once stormed the field during a game because his son was subbed out after playing for 30 minutes straight. The dad claimed that by sitting his son on the bench, I was limiting his future potential for a D1 scholarship, and demanded I sign a legal contract promising his son would never be subbed out again. The kid was only 7 years old and he actually just wanted to go get orange slices. At a local library's quiet study floor, a mom brought in a group of kids to play tag. When the librarian asked them to move to the children's section downstairs, the mum went on a tirade about how segregating children is a human rights violation. She claimed her children were highly gifted and that the downstairs section was below their intellectual level, then proceeded to let them rip pages out of a reference book to make paper airplanes. I was waiting in line at a theme park for over 2 hours. A woman cut to the very front with her 3 kids. When the staff told her she had to go to the back, she claimed her son had a special condition that made it impossible for him to wait. When asked for a disability pass, she pointed to his sneakers and said, "His feet are tired. That's a medical emergency." When they didn't buy it, she threw her soda at the teenage attendant. During a graduation ceremony, a mother stood up on her chair and used a literal megaphone to cheer for her daughter, completely drowning out the names of the next 5 students. When the principal asked her to stop so other parents could hear their children's names, she told him to shut up because her daughter was the valedictorian of her heart and deserved more airtime than the average students whose parents were clearly less proud. I saw a parent at a public pool trying to kick everyone out of the deep end because her toddler wanted to practice swimming there without scary big kids splashing. When the lifeguard told her it was a public space, she called the police and reported a riot. When the cops showed up and realized she was just being insane, she tried to convince them to arrest the lifeguard for endangering a minor by allowing other people to exist in the water. A parent at my workplace bring your kid to work day let her son wander into the server room and start pulling cables because he liked the pretty lights. When it went into a panic because the whole network went down, the mum laughed and said, "He's just exploring his interest in technology. You should be happy, he's so curious." She then asked for a raise because she was raising a future CEO who would one day save the company. I was at a crowded movie theatre for a late-night R-rated horror film. A couple brought an infant who cried the entire time. When the manager asked them to leave, the dad stood up and shouted that his baby was learning about the horrors of reality and that everyone else was too sensitive. He then demanded everyone in the theatre pay him $10 for the inconvenience of having their educational family outing interrupted by complaints. A mother at a grocery store let her kid open and eat an entire rotisserie chicken while she shopped. When she got to the register, she handed the greasy, empty container to the cashier and said, "I'm not paying for this, he didn't like the skin." When the manager insisted she pay the $8, she threatened to call her lawyer for food poisoning because the chicken was too tempting and therefore predatory marketing against her child. I attended a child-free wedding where a cousin showed up with 4 kids anyway. She sat them at the head table and told the bride to deal with it. When there was no kid-friendly food like nuggets or fries, she grabbed the microphone during the toasts to announce that the bride was neglecting her family and that she would be sending a bill for the emergency McDonald's she had to order via DoorDash. A dad at the park got mad because my dog was fetching a ball. He claimed that the sight of a dog running was triggering his son's main character syndrome because the son wanted the ball but didn't want to run for it. He actually demanded that I give his son my dog's ball and then leave the park, so his son could meditate on the concept of ownership without any distractions from lesser species like my golden retriever. I work as a private tutor. A mother once called me at 3 a.m. demanding I write her son's entire history essay because he was too tired from his intensive gaming schedule. When I told her that was academic dishonesty and outside my hours, she threatened to ruin my reputation online, claiming I was robbing her son of his future by not being a team player in his academic journey to the Ivy League. At a hotel breakfast buffet, a mum took the entire tray of bacon, about 50 strips, and put them on her table for her one toddler. When other guests complained, she hissed at them, saying her son was a carnivore in training and needed the protein for his growth spurt. When the toddler inevitably didn't eat it and it all went to waste, she refused to let the staff clear the cold bacon because he might want a nibble later. A woman at a high-end hair salon demanded the stylist give her daughter a complimentary haircut because she was just a child and it shouldn't cost the same as an adult. When the stylist explained it actually takes longer to cut a squirming child's hair, the mum grabbed the scissors and tried to do it herself in the middle of the salon. When she messed it up, she sued the salon for negligence and intentional disfigurement. During a flight, a mum let her kid draw all over the back of my seat and my arm with a permanent marker. When I woke up and realized what was happening, I was horrified. The mum just laughed and said, "He's an artist. You should feel honoured to be his canvas." When I asked for her contact info to pay for the cleaning of my expensive jacket, she called me a predator for trying to get a lone mother's personal information. I was at a zoo where a dad hopped the small wooden safety fence with his toddler to get a better selfie with the rhinos. When the zookeeper yelled at him to get back, the dad screamed that he paid for a ticket and that includes the right to the best view. He then demanded the zookeeper move the animals closer because his son was bored and the animals were being uncooperative with his son's needs. A parent at a middle school science fair got caught sabotaging other kids' projects so her daughter would win. She was seen pouring vinegar into a rival's volcano early. When confronted, she claimed she was teaching the other kids about the harsh realities of the corporate world and that her daughter was destined for greatness. So any means to ensure her victory was just good parenting and strategic planning. At a Starbucks, a mum demanded the barista make her Precious Angel a secret menu drink that required 15 different ingredients during a morning rush. When the barista said they were out of 3 of those items, the mum threw a bag of coffee beans at the plexiglass. She screamed that her daughter's mental health depended on that specific drink, and that the barista was personally responsible for her daughter's bad day. I was at a crowded beach where a family set up their tent literally 6 inches away from my towel. When I asked them for a bit of space, the dad told me that his kids needed to be near a person with a cool cooler so they could feel inspired. He then started taking drinks out of my cooler, claiming that since I was in a public space, the spirit of sharing applied to all my personal property and snacks. A mother at a toy store let her child open 3 different Lego sets to see if the pieces felt right. When the manager told her she had to buy the opened boxes, she laughed and said, "That's what your display models are for." When told there were no display models for those sets, she accused the manager of trapping her child in a consumerist nightmare and demanded a discount for the opened boxes she was being forced to buy. I worked at a pumpkin patch where a dad tried to swap his small pumpkin for a giant one after he had already paid the small price. When the teenage girl at the exit pointed out the difference, he started yelling that his son was crying because the small pumpkin was too ugly. He insisted that the magic of childhood meant he should get the $50 pumpkin for $5, and if we disagreed, we were ruining Christmas. At a campsite, a parent let their kids run through other people's tents at 6 a.m. When I zipped my tent shut to stop them, the mum came over and started shaking my tent, yelling that I was scaring her kids by hiding. She claimed that communal living meant I shouldn't have any private walls, and that her kids were entitled to explore any structure they found interesting, including my sleeping bag while I was in it. I was at a bookstore for an author signing. A mum pushed to the front of a 200-person line because her baby was hungry and she needed to leave. The baby was about 10 years old. When the author asked her to wait her turn, she grabbed a stack of books, threw them on the floor, and yelled that the author was untalented anyway, and that her son could write a better book in his sleep if he wasn't so underappreciated. A woman at a communal apartment pool tried to reserve the entire pool area for her daughter's private party without booking it. When other residents showed up to swim, she stood at the gate and told everyone the pool was closed for a VIP event. When the manager told her she couldn't do that, she tried to charge the other residents an entrance fee to use their own pool, claiming she provided the ambience with her streamers. I saw a parent at a museum let their child crawl over a velvet rope to sit on an ancient throne. When security intervened, the mum yelled that her son was a reincarnated king and that the museum was disrespecting his heritage. She then demanded the museum pay for his therapy because the security guard's loud voice had severed his connection to his past life and caused him irreparable spiritual damage. A mum at a local bakery demanded a free sample of a whole custom cake she saw in the window. When the baker said it was a paid order for someone else, the mum reached over the counter, took a handful of the frosting and gave it to her kid. She then complained that the frosting was too sweet and told the baker they owed her a palate cleanser croissant for free because of the poor quality of the stolen frosting. During a school play, A dad was upset his son didn't get the lead role, so he sat in the front row and booed every time the actual lead spoke. When parents told him to stop, he said he was providing honest feedback and mentoring the youth. He even tried to trip the lead actor during the final bow, claiming that his son's superior talent was being oppressed by the school's political agenda of participation trophies. I was at a pharmacy waiting for a prescription. A mum cut the line of 20 people, claiming her son had a fever. The son was sitting on a bench playing on an iPad, looking perfectly fine. When the pharmacist told her to wait, she started knocking items off the shelves, screaming that they were trying to kill her child. When she finally got to the front, it turned out she was just there to buy a pack of gum and some glitter. A mother at a fancy resort demanded the pool staff turn off the sun or move the entire building because the shadow was falling on her daughter's tanning spot. When they explained that's not how physics works, she demanded a full refund for their week-long stay, claiming the inconsistent lighting was harmful to her daughter's budding modelling career, and that the hotel was unprofessional for not having a rotating patio. At a Build-A-Bear, a parent tried to take a finished bear out of another child's hand because her daughter liked the outfit better. She argued that since the other child hadn't paid at the register yet, the bear was still public property and first come, first served. She actually tried to wrestle the bear away from a crying 4-year-old until mall security arrived and banned her for attempted theft and battery of a minor.